I'm Brenna Gibbons. Here in Breckenridge, there is an unknown grave that many of the locals have heard about. The story is that it belongs to a victim of the 1981 Columbus Day floods that was never identified. But after looking into the story further, that may not be true.
We want to figure out who this lady is and make sure she gets back to her family.
I'm Michael Roach, the county judge in Stevens County, Texas.
The Columbus Day flood of 1981 is still remembered as one of Breckenridge's most devastating disasters.
It dumped a ton of rain within a short period of time, and it flooded Stevens County. Actually, there's a creek that runs through the center of Breckenridge, and it divides the town east and west. So we had a huge flood there, and there was devastating loss, lots of property and things like that.
Soon after that flood, the remains of an unidentified person were found and buried in Breckenridge. But Judge Roach says there was another major flood just a few years earlier, in 1978 in Albany.
A massive amount of rainfall. And there's a huge wall of water. If you look back at some of the stories that came down the Hubbard Creek, and then some other areas, there's some outlying tributaries that branch off Hubbard Creek right where this lady was found. All of that area flooded significantly during that time too.
After some investigating, Judge Roach told us that he discovered that this unknown grave may actually belong to somebody who went missing in the 1978 flood in Albany.
We researched some newspapers from Albany during that time and Breckenridge. And what we found on the Albany paper was that a few weeks after the flooding, we went 2 months, I think, after the flooding event and looked at the newspapers. And then we looked at a 10-year anniversary edition of that paper that was published in May of 1988. And what that indicated was there were 4 individuals who were never recovered, and 2 of those were female.
He says he started this search because, in his words, it's not right for somebody to be unknown in a cemetery.
I thought that maybe a search in the records would really let us know who she was and would solve this pretty quick. But when I saw the date discrepancy, then it began a quest. This was not someone local. This was an individual who the story we've been told is not right. This really needs to be investigated.
Judge Roach says he's determined to find out who is buried here and finally give her a name.